When you invest with us, we put your money into ETFs, which are exchange-traded funds. But what is an ETF? And as a matter of fact, what is a fund? A fund is a collection of assets. Rather than picking, buying, and selling individual stocks or shares, a fund gives you exposure to several stocks at once. It's a bit like a lasagna. You've got loads of different ingredients, and they're all combined into one delicious meal. There's structure, there's order, and each component is balanced against the other. Now, there are several different types of funds. They sit on a spectrum with passive funds at one end and active funds at the other. A passive fund is a bit like a shop-bought lasagna. It's like a ready meal. You don't have to pick any of the ingredients or do any of the cooking. Everything you need is there. It's cheap, it's cheerful, and what you see is what you get. Nothing more, nothing less, minimal effort. An active fund, on the other hand, is like a lasagna made by a chef in a restaurant. Gourmet. Professionally made by the chef and their team. They'll hand select the ingredients, and it might have a bit of a twist or a secret ingredient, something you might not be able to buy in the supermarket or wouldn't know how to make at home. You still don't have to pick any of the ingredients or do any of the cooking, but it's more expensive because you're paying someone else to do this for you and paying for their experience and expertise. Two different kinds of lasagna, two different kinds of funds. An active fund will typically be managed by a person or a team. They will handpick the stocks that they think will do the best. A passive fund copies a stock market. It contains shares from across the market and will try to replicate its overall performance. What's in the middle of the spectrum? Well, that's where we come in. We use exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, and ETFs are a type of passive fund. They're similar to purely passive funds in that they are low cost and easy to use, but they're also more diverse. They can be broad and invest in the whole stock market, so there are some that are like lasagnas, but they can also be niche. So there are some, for instance, that might just invest in a certain asset class or track a certain sector of the economy. To continue our lasagna analogy, these more specialized ETFs might just invest in pasta, or maybe bechamel, or even just tomatoes. As we know, not all ready meals are made equal. Some are much better than others. The same goes for ETFs. And that's where our investment team do the work. We select the ETFs for your portfolio and combine them together using our knowledge and expertise. We choose the ETFs that combine quality and low cost so we can continue to keep the costs down. So to summarize, your portfolio is made up of ETFs, or exchange-traded funds. Like a lasagna, a fund is a collection of assets which are the underlying ingredients or elements of the dish. There are many different kinds available to investors depending on what their aims are, how much they're willing to pay, and what style of investing they're looking for. And that, in a nutshell, is a fund. Now all this talk of lasagna is making me very hungry.